The space station floated silently above a dead moon. Lights blinked across its surface like stars on a cold night. Inside, the market was full of noise machines humming, traders shouting, engines roaring. Aliens from many worlds moved between stalls. There were smells of food, oil, and metal in the air. In the middle of all this, a small girl moved quietly. She walked with slow, careful steps. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her feet were bare. Her eyes looked tired. She had purple skin, thin arms, and long silver hair tied in a rough knot. On her chest, she carried a baby wrapped in cloth. The baby made no sound. She was too weak even to cry. The girl was a Corellan, one of the alien races once at war with humans. Now, the war was over. But wounds of the past stayed fresh. Many beings still hated the Corellans. No one helped them. The girl walked past food stalls. Her eyes stopped at one. A human man stood there. His name was Grant. He was old, with short gray hair, strong shoulders, and a deep scar across his face. He had once been a soldier for Earth, but now he sold food mainly to travelers who needed quick meals or babies who needed milk. Grant was wiping a metal bottle when he noticed her. She stood there, not saying anything. Her eyes were locked. On a small milk pack sitting on the corner of his counter, he looked at her. "Need something, kid?" The girl stepped forward, her voice barely a whisper. "Just milk. For my sister. Please. I'll pay you back when I'm older." Grant blinked. Her voice was soft, but it had strength. Not begging, just asking with quiet dignity. He looked at the baby. The little one's eyes were half open. Her skin was dry and cracked. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. "Where are your parents?" Grant asked. The girl shook her head slowly. He didn't ask again. People walked by. Some glanced at her. Some looked away. No one stopped. A few aliens snorted, muttering things under their breath. Grant reached under the counter. He pulled out a small bottle of warm milk, fresh, sealed and still good. He handed it to her. The girl looked at the bottle, then up at him. "I'll pay you back," she said again. "Sure," Grant said with a small smile. "When you're older." She nodded. She held the bottle gently, like it was made of gold. Then she turned and walked away. Grant watched her disappear into the crowd. He didn't know her name. He didn't know where she lived. But something inside him changed. That night, Grant couldn't sleep. He lay in his small bunk in the back of his stall, thinking about the girl. He had seen many sad things in his life wars, explosions, laws, but her quiet voice stayed in his head. "Just milk. For my sister." He got up and turned on the small screen in the corner. He typed a few things into the station records. He searched for recent arrivals. No names matched. Maybe she came in on a hidden ship. Or maybe she never left the station at all. The next day, Grant prepared a food parcel, small, easy to carry. Some dried protein bread, a tiny bottle of water, and a fruit cube. He left it behind his stall, near a metal crate. He waited later. That evening, the parcel was gone. For the next few days, Grant kept doing the same. Each time, the food disappeared without a sound. Then one night, he decided to follow. He waited until the market was nearly closed. He spotted the girl in the distance. She picked up the parcel, then slipped through a broken door at the edge of the station. Grant followed her slowly. He kept to the shadows. His soldier training helped him stay silent. She passed through old maintenance tunnels. The lights were dim, pipes dripped, metal groaned. After 10 minutes, she stopped at a rusted cargo pod. It was half buried under scrap. She crawled inside. Grant moved closer. Inside, she lit a tiny glow stick. He saw her feed the baby with the fruit cube and pour drops of milk from the bottle into a spoon. The baby drank slowly, weakly. The girl wrapped a blanket around her sister. Then she ate the bread herself, bit by bit, chewing carefully. She was thin, too thin. There were no toys, no pillows, only a metal floor and a few cloths. Grant stood outside the pod for a while, then he quietly left. Next day he made a bigger parcel, warm soup, clean bandages, even a soft cloth for the baby. This time, He walked to the pod himself. The girl was inside, holding her sister. She saw him. Her eyes widened. She looked ready to run. Grant raised his hands. "Easy, kid. I brought something." He placed the parcel on the ground. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "Just wanted to check in." The girl didn't move. "What's your name?" he asked. "Zira," she said quietly. "And the baby, Sally." He nodded. "I'm Grant." He looked at the baby. "She needs medicine. I'll bring some tomorrow." Zira shook her head. "We'll pay you back." Grant smiled. "I believe you." Then he turned and left. The word spread slowly across the market. Some vendors whispered, "The old human's feeding a Kirlan brat." Others said, "Didn't her people kill his kind in the war?" Grant didn't care. He kept helping. Zira never asked for more than what she needed. And each time she promised, "I'll pay you back when I'm older." To Grant, that was enough. Every morning, the market on the space station woke up with sound and motion. Ships came and went. Traders shouted. Smells of food filled the air. But one corner stayed quiet. That was Grant's stall. He still sold food and drinks to travelers. But now, more people whispered about him. Some gave him strange looks. Others avoided his stall. Why? Because he helped a Kyrellan child. A girl from a race that had once fought against humans. But Grant didn't care. He had been a soldier once. He had seen death, loss, and betrayal. Knew what hate could do to people. He had no more space in his heart for it. All he saw now was a starving child with a baby to protect, and her name was Zira. Each day Grant prepared a food parcel, and each night he walked quietly to her cargo. Pod. Sometimes she talked to him. Sometimes she just nodded. But her voice always carried the same line, "I'll pay you back when I'm older." One evening, Grant sat at a metal table in the back of the market, sipping hot tea. An old alien trader named Vol sat across from him. Vol was a long-necked being with 4 eyes and blue skin. He had sold tools in the market for over 20 years. "You're making enemies," Vol said. Grant raised an eyebrow. "Because I gave a child food, she's Kirellan? You know the history? Her kind bombed colonies during the war?" Grant looked straight at him. "She's a child. Her sister's a baby. They didn't bomb anything." Vol leaned forward. "Some people don't care. They only see bloodlines." Grant stared into his tea. "Then those people are fools." That night, Grant tried to learn more about Zira. He opened the station's old military files. Most were locked. But he found a few reports from 2 years ago. One showed a Kyrellan ship, broken and burning, floating near a sun. It had a civilian. Tagged no weapons, no fighters, just families. The report said the ship had been attacked by raiders. Survivors were few. A list of rescued passengers included one name, Zira, age 10. Another, Sally, infant, both listed as refugees. That was it. Nothing more. The next day, Grant brought Zira something different. Not food, not milk, but a book. It was small, made of plastic pages, with pictures of animals and simple human words. Zira looked at it. "What is this?" "Reading," said Grant. "Good for your brain." She opened it slowly. Her silver eyes moved across the pictures. "I don't know human words," she said. "I'll teach you," Grant replied. She nodded soon. Grant came every evening, not just with food, but with words. They sat in the cargo pod. Zira held her baby sister while Grant pointed to the book. "This is a lion," he said. "A lion," Zira repeated. "He is strong, strong. This is Earth, my home." Earth, her voice was quiet but steady. Each night, she learned new words. Her memory was sharp. Her mind was fast, and Grant saw something else, hope in her eyes. But not everyone liked it, too. Large aliens named Drog and Sarn, brothers from a mining colony, ran a junk stall in the lower market. They often passed by Grant's stall with sneers. Day they stopped and laughed. "Feeding little war rats, human," Drog said loudly. "Maybe next you'll adopt a worm," Sarn added. Grant didn't reply, simply packed vegetables in a box. Drug slammed his fist on the counter. "Answer me, old man. You giving free food to our enemies now? Grant looked up, calm and steady. You don't like what I do? Don't shop here? Sarn leaned close. You're protecting a Kirillon. That's dangerous. Grant didn't. Blink. I'm feeding a hungry child. It's called being decent. The brothers left, grumbling. But Grant knew they would cause more trouble later. That night, Zira didn't smile when Grant arrived. They came to the pod, she said. Quietly, Grant froze. Who? The two big ones? They kicked the outside? They said I don't belong here? Grant clenched his fists. Did they hurt you? She shook her head. No, I stayed quiet. He looked around. We'll move you. I don't want to leave, she said. It's the only place where my sister sleeps. Grant took a deep breath. Then I'll fix it. Over the next few days, Grant talked to a few old friends. Some were engineers. One was a station guard. Quietly, they helped him. He reinforced the cargo pod with scrap metal. He added a small lock, a tiny heater, clean sheets, water filter. Zira watched, confused. Why are you doing this? She asked. You promised to pay me back, remember? Grant said with a smile. I'm just making sure you live long enough to do it. One afternoon, a group of younger market vendors saw Zira helping an old blind alien cross the walkway. She wasn't asking for anything. It's just helping. Later, a human woman named Jasmine, who sold herbs, left a tiny jar of medicine near Zira's pod. Others followed, small gifts, a warm scarf, a bag of rice, a toy for baby Cell. No one said much. But they had seen the truth. Zira was kind, brave, and not the enemy. One night, as Grant was locking his stall, Vol walked by again. You still helping that girl? He asked. Grant nodded. Vol smiled. Maybe you're not a fool after all. In the quiet dark, Zira sat with Sally in her arms, flipping through the picture book. She pointed. Lion, the baby gurgled. She whispered, strong. Her voice was still soft, but full of strength. She would survive. And one day, she would repay the kindness she had promised, and Kirillons never break a promise. It had been 4 months since Zira first whispered her request for milk. 4 months since Grant started helping her. Now, the small Kirillon girl was stronger. Her cheeks had more color. Her baby sister, Sally, could sit up and laugh softly. The cargo pod she called home was no longer cold and broken. It was safe and warm. Grant visited her every evening, sometimes bringing food, sometimes books, sometimes tools to fix the pod. Zira helped other traders, now 2 sweeping floors, cleaning stalls or carrying boxes. And always, she repeated the same line to each one. I'll pay you back when I'm older. Most just smiled. Some gave her extra food. A few even patted her head. But not everyone was happy. The 2 alien brothers, Drog and Sarn, were growing angrier each day. Their junk stall was getting fewer customers. Some said it was because of how they treated Zira. Others just didn't like their loud voices and rough behavior. But the brothers blamed the human Grant. One night, after the market closed, Drog and Sarn met in a dark alley behind the fuel station. She's turning the market against us, Drog growled. That little rat and her human protector. Duh! Sarn spat on the ground. Should have crushed that pod when we had the chance. Drog narrowed his eyes. Maybe we still can. The next day, the market seemed normal. Ships landed. Shoppers came and went. Zira helped clean the tool shop. Grant sold soup and warm drinks, but trouble was coming. Late in the evening, when the lights were dim and most stalls were closing, Drog and Sarn walked toward Zira's cargo pod. They had metal rods in their hands. They didn't see Grant following. Zira heard the footsteps first. She hugged Sally and moved to the back of the pod. The door creaked open. 2 large shadows stepped in. Drog grinned. Still here, rat? Sarn laughed. Thought we told you to leave? Zira stood up, shaking. This is my home. Please go. Drog raised the rod, not for long. But before he could swing, a strong voice shouted from behind. Touch her, and I break your arms. It was Grant. He stood at the door, his old Earth military jacket fluttering slightly, his eyes sharp and steady. In one hand, he held a stun baton. Drog turned. "Stay out of this, human." Grant stepped forward. "No, this ends now." Sarn lunged at him. Grant dodged, fast. He hit Sarn in the side with the baton. Sparks flew. Sarn screamed and dropped. To the floor. Drog next. Grant ducked and kicked his leg, then jabbed the baton into his back. Drog fell, groaning. Zero stood frozen. Baby Sally started crying. Grant looked at the two groaning aliens. "Next time I won't go easy." He turned to Zira. "Are you okay?" She nodded, shaking. The station guards came quickly. They'd seen the fight on hidden cameras. Drog and Sarn were arrested for attacking a civilian child. That night, many traders came to Zira's pod. They brought food, clothes, and blankets. One even offered her a better place to stay, but she said, "This is home now." From that day, no one in the market called her a rat again. They called her Zira. 2 weeks later, Grant sat with Zero outside her pod. They watched the stars through a cracked window. "You did well today," he said. "You helped the old Zarn woman fix her food cart." Zira smiled. "She gave me a candy stick." Grant chuckled. "Sweet reward." Zira looked at him. "Did you fight for me?" Grant was silent for a moment. "When I was a soldier," he said slowly, "I saw many people hurt. Some were enemies. Some were friends. But the ones who suffered most were always the children." He looked into her eyes. "You reminded me of someone I couldn't save a long time ago. This time, I wasn't going to fail." Zero nodded. "I'm glad you didn't." One day, a human woman wearing a station badge visited Grant's stall. Her name was Commander Ray. She was in charge of civilian support services. "I heard what happened," she said. "About the girl, the baby, the attack." Grant nodded. "We want to offer Zero a place in our learning program," Commander Ray said. "She's smart. We could teach her science, languages, repairs." Grant smiled. She liked that. That evening, Grant told Zira. Her eyes lit up. "Real school? With books and computers?" "Yes," said Grant. "Real teachers. A small class. Other kids." Then back at Grant. "Can Sally come too?" They said yes. Zira smiled wider than ever before. "Then, I accept." The first day of school was hard. Zira didn't know many human words. She felt shy and nervous, but the teachers were kind. The other kids from many species welcomed her. She sat near a boy from Earth and a girl from the Moon Colony. She learned fast. Letters, numbers, history, engineering. After 1 month, she could read full sentences. After 2, she fixed a broken robot arm. After 3, she won a small science contest. Sally stayed in a baby care room during the day. She played with toys, ate healthy food, and laughed. Zero visited her during lunch every day. At night, she still returned to her pod. It was home, and Grant still visited her. Sometimes they shared soup. Sometimes they read books. Other times, they just talked about the stars. "Someday," Zero said. "One night, I want to build something that helps people." Grant looked at her like, "What?" She thought for a moment. "Maybe a food printer, one that works for any species." He smiled. "It's a good idea." She smiled too. "Then I'll build it." News of Zira's progress spread across the station. Traders who once ignored her now asked about her school. One alien even asked her to teach his child. Grant watched it all with pride. She's more than just a survivor. He told Vol, "She's becoming a leader." Vol nodded. "You gave her a chance." Grant shook his head. "Oh, she took it." Zero still remembered her first words to Grant. "Just milk for my sister. Please, I'll pay you back when I'm older." She repeated that promise to herself each night. She wasn't ready to repay it yet, but she was getting closer each day. Each lesson, each act of kindness, she was building her way there. The space station's lights flickered softly in the evening glow. Zira stood by the window of her small room in the Human Learning Center. Outside, the stars shone brightly against the black sky, a silent promise of hope and new beginnings. It had been 2 years since Grant had first given her and her sister milk. Since then, Zira's life had changed in many ways. Some small, some big, but all important. She was no longer the scared, hungry girl wandering the market. Now she was a student, a friend, a helper. And soon she would become something even more. That morning, Zira helped her baby sister Sally put on a warm coat. The little one giggled and grabbed a small toy robot from the table. It was bright blue with blinking lights. "Go play, Sally," Zira said softly. "I'll be back after class." Sally smiled and toddled toward the playroom. Zira watched her carefully before picking up her bag and heading toward the school halls. The school was busy with students from many planets. Humans, Corellans, Moonlings, and others all learned together. The walls were decorated with pictures of planets, stars, and famous explorers. Zira's favorite class was engineering. She loved learning how machines worked. Her teacher, Mr. Tala, was patient and kind. He helped her understand complicated ideas with simple words. "Today," Mr. Tala said, "we will build small robots that can help people carry heavy loads." Zira's eyes lit up. She had seen many workers in the station struggle with big boxes and supplies. A robot like that would be helpful. She worked carefully, connecting wires and attaching small motors. Her hands were steady now, no longer shaking from hunger or fear. At lunch, Zira sat with her friends. A human boy named Eli, a moonling girl named Nara, and a small insect-like alien called Vec. They talked about their homes. "I come from Earth," Eli said proudly. "It's blue and green with oceans and forests." Nara smiled. "The moon is quiet and cold, but the stars look close." Vec clicked his mandibles. "My home is underground, full of tunnels." Zira looked down at her hands. She thought of the destroyed Corellan planet, the empty space where her people once lived. "I come from a place that no longer exists," she said quietly. Her friends grew silent. Eli reached over and squeezed her hand. "You have a new home here." Zira nodded. "Yes, and I want to help make it better." After school, Grant waited outside the learning center. His hair was whiter now, and his steps slower. But his eyes were still sharp. "Hello, Zira," he said with a smile. "Hi, Grant," she replied. They walked together toward the market. "How is Sally?" Grant asked. "Better," said Zira. "She learned to walk today." Grant grinned. "That's good news." They stopped by a small stall where an alien woman sold warm bread. Grant bought 2 rolls and handed one to Zira. "You're doing well," he said. "I'm proud of you." Zira looked at him. "I couldn't have done this without you." Grant shook his head. "You did it yourself. I just helped a little." Days passed and Zira's confidence grew. She began helping other children who were alone or hungry. She gave them food, taught them simple words, and shared stories of kindness. One day she met a young alien boy named Miko. His clothes were dirty, and he looked afraid. "Are you hungry?" Zira asked gently. Miko nodded. She gave him a piece of bread and some water. "Where do you live?" she asked. "In the tunnels," Miko whispered. Zira's heart ached. She remembered how lonely she felt when she first arrived. "Come with me," she said. "There is a safe place here." Miko hesitated but followed her. Grant watched Zira's actions with quiet pride. He spoke to the station leaders about creating a shelter for abandoned children. With his help, a small building was set up near the market. Zira and other volunteers helped run it. It was a place of warmth, food, and laughter. Many children came there, human, Corellan, and others. The shelter became known as Milk and Hope. One evening, after a long day, Zira sat with Sally and Grant on a bench outside the shelter. "Want to thank you?" she said softly. "You saved us when no one else would." Grant smiled. "You saved yourself. Just gave you a hand." Zira looked up at the stars. "I promise to pay you back," Grant chuckled. "You're doing it every day?" she smiled. "One day, I want to build things that help everyone in the galaxy. Machines that bring food, heal the sick, and stop wars." Grant's eyes glistened. "That's a big dream," Zira nodded, "but I will try." A new challenge soon arrived. The Galactic Council announced a meeting on the station. Leaders from many worlds would decide the future of refugees and orphans. Some leaders wanted to close borders. Others wanted to send refugees away. Zira decided to speak with Grant's help. She prepared a speech. On the day of the meeting, Zira stood before the council. Her voice clear and strong. "I was once hungry and alone," she said, "but humans and others helped me. We can build a galaxy where no child is forgotten." The council listened. Some nodded, some frowned, but many smiled. After the meeting, the council agreed to increase aid for refugees. They promised to support shelters like Milk and Hope. Zira became a symbol of hope, a living proof that kindness could change the galaxy. Grant felt tears in his eyes. He whispered, "You kept your promise." Zira looked at him. "I'm not done yet." The future was still uncertain. But with courage, hope, and help, Zira and her sister were ready to face it together. They were no longer just survivors. They were builders of a new tomorrow. Years passed like the turning of distant stars. Zira grew from a small, frightened girl into a strong, wise woman. Her silver hair now carried streaks of sunlight gold, and her eyes shone with a quiet fire. Baby Sally, once weak and silent, was now a bright child full of laughter and curiosity. The space station had changed too. It was no longer just a market for traders and travelers. It had become a place of learning, hope, and new beginnings for many races. The shelter called Milk and Hope had grown into a large center, helping hundreds of children from many worlds. One bright morning, Zero stood before a crowd gathered in the station's grand hall. People from many planets filled the seats: humans, Kirilons, Moonlings, and others. The air buzzed with excitement. Grant sat near the front, his face lined with age, but full of pride. He watched Zira carefully, his heart swelling with the knowledge of how far she had come. Zira's voice was steady and clear as she began to speak. "Many years ago, I was just a hungry girl. I came to this station with nothing but hope in my heart. I asked for something simpler: bottle of milk for my sister. She looked at Grant and smiled. A kind human gave it to me. Not because he expected payment, but because he saw a child in need." The crowd listened closely. "I promised then that I would pay him back. But I learned something even more important. Kindness is not a debt. It is a seed. When we plant it, we grow hope, friendship, and peace." Zira paused and took a breath. "Today I stand here as an engineer, a teacher, and a friend to many. I build machines that print food for hungry children. I teach others how to read, write, and dream." She gestured to the screen behind her, where images showed smiling children eating fresh meals from machines, and students learning with bright eyes. This is our future. A future where no child is forgotten, where no one is left hungry. The crowd erupted into applause. After the ceremony, many people came to congratulate her. Some brought gifts, others asked how they could help. Grant approached her quietly. "You did it, Zira," he said softly. She smiled. "I did it because you believed in me." Grant shook his head. "You never needed my belief. I had it all inside you." Zira looked down and said, "But you gave me a chance." That evening, Zira walked with Grant to the shelter, now shining bright with new lights and clean walls. Children played and laughed, their voices filling the air like music. She stopped by a small room where Sally was helping a group of younger children build a small robot. Sally looked up and waved. "Come play." Zira smiled and knelt down beside her. "Promise kept," she whispered to Grant. Grant nodded, his eyes misty. In the following weeks, Zira worked harder than ever. She developed new machines that could make food faster and cleaner. She taught classes for children and adults, sharing knowledge across species. One day a message arrived from the Galactic Council. They invited Zira to join their new program for peace and cooperation. She accepted. On the day of her departure, Zira stood by the docking bay. Ships from many worlds prepared for their journeys. Grant was with her, holding a small box. Inside was a simple medal engraved with a lion and the words "Friend of the Galaxy." "Because you are strong," Grant said, "like the lion you learned about long ago." Zira took the medal and smiled. "Thank you, Grant, for everything. She stepped onto the ship, ready for the next adventure, as the ship lifted off Zero. Looked back at the space station and the place that had saved her, where kindness had changed her life. She whispered, "Just milk for my sister, and a world of hope for us all."